Hi everyone, it's time to get creative again. So today I want to show you this little gnome. It's spelled Gnome, and a gnome is a mythological creature that is known as the guardian of the earth. Oftentimes you'll find little clay or ceramic figures of gnomes in gardens. They're very popular, and they're in gardens because they are the protectors or the holders of the secrets of the earth. You see them a lot of other places, and this is one that I happen to have, and I thought we could use the shape of the gnome and create a few of them for the upcoming holidays. They kind of reminded me of little Santa Clauses, don't they? But they're mythological creatures. So I have one that I've created here, and I thought that this was a lot of fun. It's really simple to do, and you don't need a lot of supplies, but you are going to have to search for some different types of paper. You'll need a scissors and some glue. Colored pencils, of course, or crayon would be fine as well. I've got a piece of typing paper here. I found a newspaper and a paper bag. These are the things that I'm going to use to make another gnome, and we can actually make this one together. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to get started. So this is my project. And you can see that I've got this wonderful curly beard here and this nice tall hat. We're going to start making the curly beard. So the very first thing you're going to do, I have just a piece of typing paper or computer paper. I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it in half. Now if you don't have this type of paper, you have another sheet of white paper, whatever, construction paper, that's okay. So I've got it, and it's 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and it's folded in half. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start to cut my beard, and I'm going to cut strips, but I'm going to hold my paper on the fold so that I don't cut the fold, and I'm going to make thin strips stopping before I get to that fold, so right about there. And because my paper is doubled, this is going to be a nice thick beard. So I want real thin strips as I cut my beard, and I'm just going to keep cutting. Shouldn't take all that long to do this. Did you know that gnomes were actually kind of introduced in the 1800s, the early 1800s, which is kind of cool. They're an ancient creature. And they were often used as characters in children's fairy tales. So when you see the garden gnomes in people's gardens, or, you know, when you see one, they're often done in very, very bright colors. Now, I don't think my gnome is going to be much wider than this. So I'm going to actually just take this and cut some of this paper off and put it aside for another project. Now I have my fringy beard here, and you can see that this one looks a little bit different, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just set this here, and then I'm going to get my brown paper bag, and that is what I'm going to use for my hat. So I'm going to kind of switch this out here, and I've got my paper bag right here, and I'm going to draw out my hat. I'm just going to use a colored pencil. I've got a white colored pencil here, so you should be able to see it fairly well. I've got my beard, and I am going to draw a triangle from just kind of setting my beard here, the edge of my white paper, all the way up Let's see if you can see that. It's going to be a nice tall hat and then back down like that. So you can kind of see what I've done, and this will go right here. So once I get my triangle drawn out, I'm going to then take and cut it out. So I'm going to start at the edge of the paper, and I'll actually get 2 triangles out of this, I think, because my bag is already folded. Like a little round on top. Now as you do this, I've got this doubled up a little bit here. Take one off. I've got my hat here. So I'm going to take now my beard, and I'm going to set it right here. I'm going to take a colored pencil, and I'm going to start to curl all of the strands of my beard. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to just take my pencil and just kind of wrap it around, and you just need to hold it for a few seconds and let go, and you can see that it will curl. Now when you do this, I curl mine in all different ways, not always going the same direction. Some of them will curl better than others, and that's okay. Some of them will be a little bit straighter. You want your beard to kind of look shaggy. So I'm going to curl every one of these individually, not 2 together. There's another one here. So that my beard looks nice and full. And you can start to see that it's starting to curl. So you've got this one here. Now I'm just using a colored pencil to do this. You can use anything you want, the end of a paintbrush or a straw, whatever you have around the house that is round that you can curl these little pieces of paper on. Would be great. I'm going to take some time now and curl all of the edges of all of the strands of my beard, and when I'm finished, I'll come back and show you what we're going to do next. Okay, I have finished curling my beard, and they're kind of going all different directions, which is kind of what I wanted. I'm going to just take the ends here, and I'm going to fold this end over ever so slightly, and this end over here, like this, and that's going to make it a little fuller on the ends. Now I'm going to take my hat, and I'm going to run a bead of glue on my beard, right about here, and take my hat and kind of glue it down. You can use a glue stick if you have one. I suppose you could tape it to the back if you don't let the tape show, but I've got my hat here kind of like this. Now it's a little wider right here and right over here, so I'm going to trim that up in a little bit. I've got that here. Now I'm going to set this aside. I have a piece of newspaper that I got. Just gathered a little piece, cut a little piece off, and I just wanted the print area because I want to make the nose. And I'm going to use newspaper to make the nose. So I'm going to take a colored pencil, and my nose is going to be about this big. If I make it too big, I can always cut it down, but I want it about that big. Now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to shade on one side of that nose. He's going to have a really nice pink kind of nose here. And you're going to see the print through my colored pencil, and that's okay. I kind of think that looks nice. Nice gray. I can take a little bit of my white and go over the top here. Kind of dulled it out a little bit, didn't it? That's all right. Maybe a little lighter pink. Just kind of doing shading around the edges here. Now I'm going to take my scissors and cut this out. I'm rotating my paper around. And there we have kind of an edge there I'm going to get cut off. So I've got my nose. Take this like this. I'm going to glue it right down here. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, put it on the back, and I'm going to place it right in the center. That newspaper glues down really nicely. I'm going to take, and I'm going to kind of just take my scissors and trim my hat a little bit. Now you can make your hat look like it's bent a little if you want. Okay, I'm going to take this here. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, so now I've got the start of my gnome here. I need to make the hat. So when I do the hat, I'm going to use green, and I'm going to first do this line that comes up over the nose and kind of forms the edge of the hat. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to come up and kind of come all the way down over here. It's kind of a line that goes like that. Okay. And now I'm going to do a second line. It's almost an implied line, meaning that it's just going to look like it's there. Okay, like here, and then this one comes around and comes down like this. So I've got that looking like that. Now, this area here, I am going to take my pink colored pencil. I'm going to kind of color in some of that area, because that would actually be his skin if we could see it. Just a little bit. Now I'm going to take my green and I am going to shade this so that it looks rounded, meaning I'm going to take my pencil, darker color, and I'm going to just kind of do the edge here. And you can take your time with this. And here, we're going to go over here, kind of do the edge over here. And for some reason, my pencil's not reacting real well on top of that glued area. I should have let it dry a little bit first, I think. I think I would have got a better result. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to start to color the edge of my hat. Now, when I do this, I am going to just kind of outline the hat. I can rotate my paper here. Kind of outlining it. There we go. And now I can take and I can just lightly shade the edge of my hat. I'm going to do this kind of quickly, but I'm going to start to add that dimension. Oh, got a little dark there. So I'm starting to add. It's always going to be darker near the edges of the hat as it gets lighter near the center. Okay, so I've kind of got this looking like this now. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to draw some curved lines to make some stripes in my hat. Now, the stripes are going to be, make this hat look a little bit like a sweater. Okay, kind of a little bit of a pattern. So I'm going to take my thing, I'm going to come up, and you want to make your line curved because the hat is rounded. So these lines, these rounded lines, make the hat look, and I'm going to come all the way up here, more dimensional. And right there. And I'm just going to do two stripes on mine, one here and one here. Now I'm going to keep working with colored pencil, adding a little bit of a pattern on my hat and shading along the edges a little bit more. And then when I'm done, I'll come back and show you what I have. Okay, I'm not quite finished with this, but I wanted to show you how to put a little bit of texture in this hat to make it look more like a sweater. So what I've done is I've kind of put some lines, and I'm going to continue these lines going upward like this, and I'm going to go all the way to the top of my hat. And these are going to be kind of the ribs to my sweater. The kind of bumpy stitches to my sweater. And so I've got this, and I've started to kind of put some hash marks in this. So I'm going to start here. This is my stripe here, so I'm going to leave that blank. But here I'm going to take and I'm just going to do some V's like this on each of the lines. And I can even do a couple up here. Okay, and then I'm going to go the opposite way on this one. And here, kind of doing some hash marks, little lines. They look like knit stitches. So kind of coming down like this. Now here, this is a little confusing here. Checks marked. Now you can choose to do this. You can design your hat in a different way. I did not do my first one this way. My first one was done a little bit differently. I tried to do texture, but I thought that this would work out. I'm going to come right over here and get some lines so you can see that it's starting to look a little bit like yarn. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to continue shading in the sides of my hat. And I didn't think that the green was dark enough, so I actually took a brown and started to fill in some of the edges with my brown colored pencil, and that really kind of intensified the color. In order to make this look like it was standing out a little bit more, I used a little bit of white on the nose, kind of right here. And I thought that I should use the white along the rim, the top of the rim of the hat. That way it is going to make it pop out a little bit and look like it's coming forward. Now I've got these areas here yet that I need to design. And I think that I am going to use some red. This is going to be a Christmassy gnome, so I'm going to just take and do my same stitches here, or my little check marks, with my red as I go. I'm going to cut it this way. I'm going to fill in the rest of this and continue to shade it with that red. It's going to end up looking like a red stripe as I go. So I'll stop here and keep on working. You do the same, and I'll come back and show you what I have. Okay, so I've kind of finished all of my stitches, and you can kind of see it looks like it could be a knit cap on here. I love the brown paper bag, but it needs something else on here. And so I have this sheet of paper here, this scrap piece that we cut off, and I'm going to cut out a little snowflake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my paper in half, a little tiny piece of paper, and fold it again in quarters. And then I'm going to put my finger right here at the edge on this corner and fold it again. And from here, I'm going to cut out a snowflake. So I know that all of the edges are attached at this corner. So this is the corner that right here that I don't want to cut. So I'm going to start here and come here, and I'm going to just free form this one. You can plan out your snowflakes as well, but I often don't do that. I just kind of cut into it, making sure not to cut this edge here. So I'm going to cut here, come over here, and come up here. And cut that whole edge off. Now I can cut into this. And come over here. I think that's going to give me a nice heart shape there, maybe. And up here. Cut into this edge. Another shape here. And I'm going to cut here. And I'm curious as to what this is going to look like, so I'm going to open it up. And, oh, that's pretty. So I have got a little snowflake that I'm going to attach onto his hat. Just take a little bit of glue and glue it here. Now you can glue it on the side of his hat here. You can glue it on the top as a pom-pom type thing. But I'm going to take a little bit of my glue. Just glue it down. I don't want to create a mess, I think, right about here. So it's going to be sticking off the edge a little bit. So there we have it. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'll take a picture of it so that you can see it at the very end. This is a gnome, holiday gnome, made out of nothing but scrap paper. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I can't wait to do the next project with you.